My guest this evening is a multi-talented artist. He has his hands in many different mediums, film, music, art, and subcategories of each of those areas. So umbrella areas, and he's got all the other smaller parts underneath it. He is the director of the new music video from Alice. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Mr. Clint Carney. Clint.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, thanks for being here, man. I'm really excited to talk with you about everything you got going on, and I want to hear about the background to the Alice music video. So yeah, let's see what we can accomplish in about 30, 35 minutes and enjoy our Friday. All right. So let's kind of start off with the present, and we'll kind of work our way to the past and come back to the present. So for people that watch music videos, you know, they might watch it, they go, that's really cool, but they don't really have any clue, especially for an animated one, about what that whole process is like. So can you walk us through the timeline from the moment the band Alice brought this project or this job to you to the end product? What's that timeline look like?
Well, Tosh had been talking to me for a while about, saying that they were interested in working with me on a video, and I had done a video for these guys before in their other band, Mankind is Obsolete, several years back. But then I think 2 or 3 months ago, the band hit me up and they presented 3 different songs to me that they had coming out and let me pick which one I'd like to do the video for. And I got to say, they were all 3 fantastic, but I chose the song Love Is Forever out of the 3 just because I'd never done a music video for a song even close to that one before. And it was a beautiful song. As you know, just everyone in the band is a absolute, wonderful human being and musician. They're all very talented, and I think their talents were all really well showcased on that song. And so, yeah, the first thing I did, Tosh sent me the lyrics to the song, and I spent some time just listening to the song over and over again, and really looking into, reading over the lyrics and coming up with what it meant to me on a personal level, and what kind of, allegorical story I could tell visually that would match the feeling I got when listening to the song. And so I came up with the idea you'll see in the video, and I pitched it to Tosh and Sasha, and they thankfully liked the pitch. And so that was I think by the time we were ready to pitch, it was maybe only 1.5 or 2 months ago. And then the first thing I did was I commissioned my friend Kat Philbin, who is just a wonderful illustrator, very talented. And I had her start working on the artwork to create the world for this video. And then once she completed the artwork, basically, I took her 2D artwork and chopped it up and animated it.
Okay, so how long was that process for you once you got the artwork from Kat, and like you said, you chopped it up and animated it? Is that like a few weeks then for you, or a few days?
Yeah, it was a few weeks for sure, because I mean, when you see the video, you'll see her artwork is very detailed. So it took her more time to draw them than it took me to manipulate them. But she would send me the pieces of art as she finished them. So I started building out a skeleton for the video, kind of, just building these little segments as I received the artwork and popping in placeholders and things like that. And then the video kind of starts out in the 3-dimensional world. It moves down this hallway into this miniature of a theatrical stage set. And then once the camera lands inside this set, the rest of it plays out as if the set is this kind of paper doll puppet realm. And that's how, that's the context of the animation that you're seeing for most of it.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. I mean, I'm getting more anxious by the minute hearing you describe the video and getting a chance to see the full thing in about 25 minutes. So are you self-taught in terms of making music videos or doing the 3D animation things, or how did you come about, making music videos?
I would like to say I'm self-taught, but I'm really taught by lots of wonderful people on YouTube. I mean, just about anything you could want to do in any field, you can go to YouTube and someone's made a video about it, or hundreds of videos about it. And that's kind of how I started. I'm also a musician. I'm in a band called systemsyn, and we shot a music video years back for this band, and I did a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo, something like that, you know, a fundraiser for the video. And I realized that the idea for the video was so ambitious. All these quotes I was getting back from visual effects people were, just for the visual effects alone, were like 20 times the budget of the entire video. So I put the money that we raised into the actual, you know, the crew and the lighting and all that stuff on camera. And then I just knuckled down and learned After Effects and some other programs, and because I didn't want to cheapen the video just because I couldn't afford it. So I just learned how to do it myself, and that kind of took me down that path.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a lot of similarities to Alice in terms of, you know, DIY and making sure that you have a certain bar, and like you just said, that you weren't trying to cheapen things. You still want to have a certain bar of excellence. And then, I mean, you can put in the time to figure out, how am I going to do this? I'm going to keep working on it until I get it to where I want it. And
sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there for sure.
Yeah, you know, and doing something like that, learning like a new skill set that you didn't know you would need to learn, in this particular one has ended up becoming invaluable to me. Because first off, for that first video I did, I ended up being, because I was learning how to do it, I ended up being more ambitious with the effects than I otherwise would have if I were paying someone, you know, by the shot to do it and that sort of thing. And so I've ended up being able to use what I learned there on, you know, a number of my own projects, as well as, you know, some feature film work and, you know, other people's projects, commercials, etc. So it ended up being a good thing that I couldn't afford someone else at the time.
There's that silver lining that we're always looking for. Okay, and that's it kind of brings us back to, like you mentioned, I know you did the video for Mankind is Obsolete for them back in the day. And so how far back, like when did you first meet anyone in the Mankind is Obsolete, Alice, you know, collective? How far back do you go with the band?
Oh, it is hard to say. I'm not sure the exact year, but I mean somewhere in the early to mid 2000s, I think, a while ago. Basically, I believe, and I'll let the band correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we first met at a show in Arizona that Mankind is Obsolete was playing, and also a band I play keyboards for, Imperative Reaction, was also playing, and I believe that's where I met them first. It was either at that show or around the same time I had seen them open for a band called Dismantled, which was on the same record label as I was at the time. And so it was one of those two shows was my first time meeting them, but I enjoyed them right away. I mean, they're great people, and we just hit it off. And, you know, I enjoyed watching them play music. You know, they're great.
Yeah, no, and it sounds like you've mentioned that you've been a part of many different music projects yourself.
Yeah, I should also mention how Tosh and John, the original drummer for Mankind is Obsolete, are now playing in my band too. I've absorbed them. So they're there to make me look good, because they're just incredible on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, gosh, well, I think one of your bands, or maybe your main band, came up to Seattle where I'm at, and Tosh was on keyboards maybe like a year ago or something.
Yeah, we did the Mechanismus Festival.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So is systemsyn your main band, or do you have like rotating bands, or what's going on now?
Systemsyn is the one that I write all the music for and sing for. The other bands that I'm in, I just, or that I go in and out of, I'm just a live keyboard player and sometimes backup vocalist.
Okay. And then, so with your music background, same type of question. Are you self-taught? Did you take some lessons a little bit? Or were you learning from friends and then just kind of went from there? Or what's your background?
Yeah, I bought a really cheap guitar at a garage sale when I was in high school, and which we talked a little bit about before the broadcast, and just kind of started teaching myself. I had some friends that played guitar, and they showed me some things. I bought, as many copies of Guitar World magazine as I could find, and started learning, how to read tablature, and and then I really just enjoyed writing music, and I enjoyed playing, but I kind of found myself writing like almost immediately. Nothing good, but just the baby steps toward writing music. And so I got a job when I was 15 then, and saved up to buy a keyboard, and that was the first thing I bought with the money from the job. Was just it was like a big Yamaha, just whatever, something I got at Best Buy, I think, and then kind of just taught myself. With the help of friends, and then just practice, just learned how to do that, and that just kept that up for a while.
Yeah, sounds like a long while, because here we are now talking about it in
20-something years.
Yeah, in 2020, we're still talking about it, and you're going strong. So kudos to you for sure. I can kind of relate to that, because I remember buying Guitar World. I'm a guitar player myself, so I remember buying Guitar World and a little bit of Guitar Player magazine, but that was like a little bit above me. So Guitar World was a little bit more like street level for me, depending on who was in the issue at that time, and the tablature that they had. So I can totally relate to that. And let's kind of also, I want to make sure I'm keeping track of the time here, that overall, we're going to talk about your art. We're going to talk about, I know your feature film, Dry Blood. But I also want to kind of know, in general, when I was looking through everything that you're a part of, and again, you're a part of a lot of things, there's definitely for me, an affinity for the darkness in all of your work. Where does that come from?
Yeah, I have just always loved horror since I was a little kid. I think I saw the first horror movie I saw, I think, was The Blob with Steve McQueen. Probably saw that when I was 4 or 5. My dad was into the old, giant monster movies and things like that. And then my uncle was also a horror author, and he was really into horror films and stuff like that. So I kind of grew up with that, but I gravitated towards more extreme stuff than they were into. And yeah, I just always loved it. I've never really been afraid of horror. It's just always something that I always thought monsters and zombies and all that stuff just looked cool, and it was just matched my taste, and that's been a lifelong thing.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that as well. I've been a horror fan since I was a little kid, and I still remember. I don't know if I should be saying this live on the air, but I remember we had like a pirate dish back in the day before like cable came to our house. So you get like this snowy ass picture of like the same 3 movies, and the first one was Friday the 13th, the very first one. So we're kind of like all of us were huddled around the TV. And back then, you didn't have too many of those, surprise ending kind of things. So we thought it was over, and obviously, everyone was watched that film, though, that the young Jason comes out of the lake and grabs the girl and all that kind of thing. It scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, it's a great scare.
Yeah, and I just remember that feeling made me want more of it. So I've always had an affinity for things that were on the darker side of life, and that hasn't changed to this day. And I'm almost 50 now, and I still love it. I still go to Crypticon. I love all that kind of thing. So, nice. And again, like particularly with your artwork, there's a lot of depth going on with your pieces that I was looking at. I wish I'd spent more time to look at all of the pieces. I only looked at a few of them, but can you speak to the paintings and the art that you produce, and kind of where maybe your inspiration is from horror, but maybe some other things that you can speak to?
Yeah, when I'm painting, it's interesting because each art form that I'm involved with, for me at least, my mental process of creating each thing is very different. And painting for me is a chance to not have any rules and just be free with it. And I sit down in front of a blank canvas, and sometimes I know what I'm going to paint. Most of the time I don't, and I just start painting, and it's just kind of like, my subconscious vomiting onto a canvas, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. But yeah, it's just, I just kind of don't put any constraints on what a piece is going to be. I just start it and let it kind of grow and let it tell me what it wants to become. I don't know how to describe it any differently. That's about it.
Okay, all right. And have you done some gallery showings of your pieces and that kind of thing over the years, or?
Yeah, I've shown a lot. There's a gallery here. I live in Burbank, California. There's a gallery here called Hyena Gallery. And that was the gallery that gave me my first shot years ago, and I still always have pieces there. There's another great gallery in Long Beach called the Dark Art Emporium. I have a piece in their new show now. There's another place also in Burbank called the Mystic Museum. They always show my work. And then I've shown in lots of places, kind of all over the place. But since those are the local ones for me, I end up showing at those three places, I think more than most. But yeah, I've been fortunate in my art career that to be able to paint weird shit and still have people support it. So some of my art is now in homes all over the world, which is pretty neat for me.
Yeah, no, that's going to be amazing to know that someone's chosen to basically live with your artwork. I know a couple artists here locally, and it just kind of floors them.
Yeah, it's really weird too, because when you paint weird shit, I mean, every time I finish a painting, I look at it and go, "Oh, I like that." Everyone else is going to hate it, and so it's always surprising because it's just not. I mean, you've seen my. It's not for everyone. That's the reality of it. Is so anytime someone actually buys a piece, I'm always a little shocked that they're willing to hang that up, because if they hang it in their house, that means they have to explain that fucking thing to everyone who sees it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and I'm not a painter or anything of that nature, but at one point I'm a photographer for sure. And I got the bright idea to paint my walls with stage blood to do a horror shoot. And so there's still actually running blood on some of my walls. So when people come over that don't know me, it's the same type of thing. They're like, "What the hell is that?" and what's your deal? And I kind of explained what that was from. It's from 2006 and all this kind of thing. Like, oh, okay. But they look at me kind of funny. But it's like, hey, that's what I love. So I'm not going to kill you or anything. It's part of the aesthetic.
I've got plenty of fake blood stains around my place too, so the struggle is real.
Awesome. So hey, there's a good segue. Let's talk about your feature film that you wrote and starred in, and I believe executive produced, Dry Blood. I have the title right, correct? Dry Blood?
Yeah, Dry Blood.
Yeah, okay,
yes.
Okay. What can you tell me about that? Because I watched the trailer. I haven't seen the actual film. I've only watched the trailer. And again, me being a horror guy, I was immediately intrigued by it. So what can you tell me about that whole project?
Oh, thank you. Well, we filmed it about 5 years ago now, but it just came out last year. The director is my friend Kelton Jones, and him and I were trying to get a movie off the ground for a couple of years. We were originally trying to get another movie off the ground, and it takes a long time to raise the budget for a film, let's just say, and Dry Blood kind of just ended up happening first, and so we dove in on that. Kelton actually, aside from directing it, he also plays the sheriff in the film, and we just wanted to make a cool indie horror film that was extremely violent, and we did, and it was a lot of fun. It was basically his whole family. And a lot of my family were involved in it as well. At total, on the whole film, start to finish, there were only, I think, 13 people that worked on the entire thing. And usually, I do a lot of work on bigger films, and so I'm used to having hundreds of people be on a set or be involved in it. But this is a very, very small production. But we after we filmed it, we took it around to the festival circuit, and we ended up winning some awards at some independent horror festivals and things like that. And this is an interesting thing relating back to you brought up Friday the 13th before. And Kelton's actually friends with Sean Cunningham, who directed Friday the 13th, and so we were able to take an early cut of the film over to Sean's house and screen it for him, and then he gave us some great notes. And so I took his notes and went back and did a new edit of the film. And that's when we started getting into the festivals, just after kind of cutting it based off of his notes. So anyway, it's a bit of a slow burn. It's kind of part ghost story, part mystery. And devolves into a splatter fest by the end of the film.
Sounds nice, and well, not nice to horror fans, I should say. To the average person, maybe not so nice. No, I'm really intrigued. I have to make sure that I check out that film now that I've seen the trailer and have a chance to talk with you about it.
Thank you. It's on. If you have Amazon Prime, it's on there. It's on IMDb TV, and if you don't have any subscription, you can watch it for free on Tubi. That's Tubi. I think it's tubitv.com or something like that. But they have commercials there, but it's still a way to watch it for free. So.
Okay, cool. No, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, and you mentioned, and we talked pre-show, that you've been doing prop work for a lot of Hollywood TV and film projects, and you also just kind of mentioned that you've been on sets with hundreds of people, kind of a thing. So one thing I noticed when I was looking through like your IMDb credentials, just in general, I'm just kind of curious about this. They show like for some of them, like who you were or what you did, like prop master, prop something, and there's other ones where it says uncredited, but you did work on it. So is that like a union thing, or why does that show up like that?
Yeah, so I am usually I've never been an actual prop master. At least that's the guy that kind of runs the show and prop things. I'm more of, I guess you would call a prop artist or a prop builder. So I'll design props and then actually fabricate them myself, and then usually just bring them to the prop master, and then it goes from there. So because of that, on a lot of films, I'm just a vendor essentially. So I don't get a lot of on-screen credits. So that's why you see a lot of those on IMDb that say uncredited. It's because I built the thing, but it's not in the actual credits of the film. In fact, I've done probably, if you look at my art department credits on IMDb, I've done twice that much work that's just not even on IMDb as well. So it's just the way it goes in the industry. But
Okay. What are some of the bigger projects you've been a part of, film or TV?
I think the biggest budget film and one of the most popular ones that I did was J.J. Abrams did a couple Star Trek films, and his second one was called Star Trek Into Darkness. And so I worked on that one. The opening of the film takes place on this volcano planet, and Captain Kirk and Bones, they steal this scroll, and they're running through the forest, and these aliens are chasing them, throwing like spears and things at them. So I built that scroll, which is actually, it's a mechanical device. It unfurls and you can wind it back up and stuff. And then all of the weapons from the aliens on that one particular planet. So all kind of primitive stuff. Mostly throwing weapons, but there's some axes and some dart launchers and things like that. So I designed and built all of that stuff. Cool. So that was probably the biggest budget one I worked on, but I worked on other big films with some notable directors that were a lot of fun. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And I'm very familiar with that second Star Trek. I don't know how many times I've watched it. Yeah. So I know exactly the red planet, the aliens that come chasing those two through the forest, and they have to get beamed out of there and the whole bit and all that kind of thing. So
yeah. I got to be on set for it while they were filming that stuff too. A lot of my work I do prop wise. I just manufacture, and someone comes and picks it up, or I drop it off, and then that's it. But that was one where I actually got to be on set for a week or two while they were filming it. So, and I love Star Trek, so it was super cool to, I got to see the bridge set, the Enterprise, and that whole thing, that whole outdoor area for that particular sequence was about, a quarter as long as it looks in the film. They just had different paths going through the forest, so they would just film them running through one path, move to another one, run that way, and then it just had a giant, 20-foot tall or higher green screen in back of it that they swapped out from the background.
Oh, interesting. I'm one of those special features kind of guys. I love seeing that kind of stuff and how they make things happen. So hearing those kind of behind the scenes tidbits, I love that kind of thing. So that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Hey, this is going to be a good time to, we have a video of yours that has some of your work on it. So if the Alice folks down in LA can roll the promo clip of Clint, this would be awesome and a great time to do it, please.
Sweet, thanks. Con yet, but I would love to go sometime.
Okay, cool. That was great seeing some of your music video work that you were just telling me about, and everyone else out there got a chance to see some of the macabre and the dementedness going on, which I love. So, hey, we're getting close to the end. Yeah, thank you. We're getting to the end of our segment, but what kind of advice would you give for aspiring artists in any field? You know, obviously you've got tons of things that you're doing, but just in general, what kind of advice would you give someone who's trying to break into some level of art?
You know, it can be a long and difficult road, and you can't, at least I haven't been able to in my career, premeditate success. You know, you don't say that is to say, don't do something just because you think it will bring you success or get you to the next level or get you recognized, because you never know what is going to do that. You know, you should just make the art that's in your heart. You know, make the stuff that you like, and if you like it, your passion for it's going to come through in the art, and then hopefully the right audience will find it. And just be patient, because it doesn't. For most of us, it just doesnn't happen overnight. It's a long road. So, you know, be in it for the journey.
Okay, very sound advice. Hey, Clint, it was awesome spending time tonight, getting to know you and your work. And I can't wait to see the music video that you directed for Alice. So stay safe down there. And hopefully once all this kind of phase 3, 4 stuff kind of goes by the wayside, we can kind of maybe meet on the road somewhere or what have you, and talk a little bit further. So take care, and thank you so much for your time.
That'd be awesome. Thanks for having me, Mark.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.